Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View.
And welcome into Capitol View. We took the show on the road, actually here in the governor's office. Of course, that means we have Governor Asa Hutcinson with us here. And I guess, too, it's kind of an interesting time for you, as a lot of people are starting to kind of remember the whole impeachment process and everything, and you were a big part of that last impeachment process. I guess kind of take us back through some of that time. What was the process like for you being on the prosecution end of things?
Well, it was an extraordinary experience. First of all, as a lawyer, being in a trial in the United States Senate with the Chief Justice presiding, with all 100 senators being the jurors in a constitutional process that's only happened 2 or 3 times in our nation's history, that was extraordinary. And so it was a big moment in our nation's history. And it is a little bit nostalgic now as I look back for 20 years, realizing what a challenge it was for our country, how difficult this is. And secondly, realizing that no president in the history of our nation has been removed from office through this process means that our nation has a very, very high bar for that, and I think we're seeing that today.
Now, how did you actually get ready for something? Because obviously it's 2 very different circumstances through what President Trump's going through and what President Clinton was going through.
They are different, and while much of the process is set by the Constitution and it's similar, there's a lot of differences between now and then. At that point, you had the Kenneth Starr investigation that was really a complete package. Right. And so we did a little bit further investigation, and it was a question of presentation of it. The facts were much more clear. So it's a little bit different now in that context. But you know, how did I get involved in it? It started on the Judiciary Committee side. Right. I was a freshman member of Congress. It was my first term. And to be in that extraordinary moment, I'll never forget when Chairman Hyde said on a Sunday afternoon, if this is voted out of the House chambers, I want you, Congressman Hutchinson, to be a House manager to present the case. And I left there saying, there's not any way I want to do that. This is president for my home state. You know, I'm a fresh member of Congress, but it was a constitutional responsibility, and I have an incredible amount of courtroom experience, so I said, this is something I should do.
What was that dynamic like? You know, 2 guys from Arkansas, and you're in essence prosecuting, you know, one of the biggest, you know, faces of Arkansas.
Well, I mean, it was a difficult moment, and it was challenging, and that's why, you know, you try to do it in a professional way. You have a regard for both sides and different perspectives on it. But it was an Arkansas moment because while I was in the Senate chambers, you had Bruce Lindsay from Arkansas there on the Senate floor helping to guide the president. You also had, of course, then Senator Dale Bumpers that gave one of the closing arguments. So it was a lot of Arkansas flavor there. But, you know, we treated each other with great respect, and through that, the big lesson to me is that no matter how challenging those moments are, our democracy is so strong, our Constitution is so strong, we are a resilient country, and the moment it's over, you bounce back, you go back to business and getting the job for the American people done. And so we are a strong nation, and I think when we have these kind of constitutional processes that are unusual for other countries, people look in amazement and say, wow, this is democracy in America at work. It's a checks and balances, and whatever the outcome is, our democracy goes on.
And it seemed too that it seems now more days that things seem a little nastier. Is sort of the climate a little different between the Clinton and Trump's impeachment trial?
It is. It's much more difficult atmosphere there now. To me, even though 20 years ago it was still difficult, you had partisan divide, but there was a real effort to breach that partisan divide and to say, you know, is there some way that we can work through this together? I remember meeting regularly with some of the Democrat colleagues, and while we didn't reach agreement, just the conversation is helpful. So it is a much more poisonous atmosphere, not just within the Congress itself, but within the country. Yeah. And it was difficult 20 years ago, but today it is much more of a divide.
So what was the vibe up there after everything had gone? Everything was said and done, acquitted. You know, you mentioned we just got back to business. What were the relationships like? What was sort of, just like I said, the general vibe up there after that? You
know, it was back to work. And, you know, the moment that the verdict came down, you know, I made the comment that I accept the result. You know, the Constitution worked. This is the result of the Senate. Let's go back to business. But to the President's credit, he also had a news conference right after the verdict and actually was very humble in it and said, I'm sorry we had to go through this. Let's get back to business as well. So, you know, it's just a moment that people recognize the strength of our institutions. I hope it'll be exactly the same way. People want this to end, and I think it will have ended perhaps at the time that this is broadcast.
Yeah, hopefully.
And I have no doubt that because we have business to do, because we respect our institutions, that we can be strong again and do the business of the American public they expect us to do.
Well, it's definitely a fascinating thing. Have you kept up with this one a lot?
I have. You know, part of it is because I'm very interested in it, yeah. And also because I'm get to make comments on it. And it's the startling thing is when I do an interview and they play some of the footage of when I was there 20 years ago, it almost makes me laugh. I had different color of hair at that moment in time.
It wasn't HD, yeah.
But I do follow it because it is so important, and I'm interested as to how they're handling it.
And I guess final thing, we'll get you out of here, Governor, is are you almost, in a sense, glad that you didn't win that case?
Well, you know, I'm not. No, I believed in what we were presenting to the Senate, right. But I also accept totally the outcome and understand that there's a high bar for removing a president, and I don't question the judgment of the Senate 20 years ago. I don't second guess them. We did our job. They did what they believed was the best for our country. But I do believe that they re-emphasize what our founding fathers tried to express in the Constitution, and that is that it has to be a high bar. And they've reinforced that, and I think the American public has reinforced that high standard as well. Well,
it's definitely a fascinating thing to watch unfold. Governor, we appreciate you taking a little time. Give us a little insight into what goes on behind the scenes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's still part of the constitutional office version here of Capitol View. We've got Leslie Rutledge and Dennis Milligan coming up on Capitol View. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back into Capitol View. Impeachment has taken over the national scene. We've heard from several of Arkansas's delegation, but 2 weeks ago, 21 attorneys general called for an end to the impeachment proceedings. Joining us now to kind of discuss some of that and some other things is Attorney General Leslie Rutledge. Leslie, we appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Okay, I guess what kind of went into that letter? What was sort of the thought process with that?
Well, my colleagues and I, and as the state's chief legal officer, felt like it was important for United States Senate to hear from us. Mm-hmm. And essentially what that letter said is that we were asking Senate to reject the articles of impeachment because there's complete lack of evidence. What we have seen from this impeachment process and what concerned us as the attorneys general for all of these states is that it's not a partisan issue, and it shouldn't be a partisan issue, that we want to protect the rule of law, protect our republic, our democracy, how we conduct business. It's not about this particular president, it's about the process.
Right. And I guess what would you say to folks who would kind of spell it out that, oh, this is pretty black and white, he did, use his power in order to influence elections, whether or not you believe that is one thing, but what would you say to people who really do believe that that's something?
I think as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, that the House impeachment managers have not brought forth the sort of evidence that they claimed that they would have, and the White House counsel has torn that down time and time again. And so to those who have simply heard, well, we're going to say this, or we're going to show you this, they need to look into see whether or not that evidence was brought forth, and we have not seen that evidence. And as a former prosecutor, my colleagues that joined me and signed this letter, many of them were former prosecutors. All of us stated that we would not have brought a case with this lack of evidence to a judge, much less to a jury.
All right, so there you have it. I know you're doing a lot of work on the PBMs here. Where are we at with that? Because I know it's a real complex issue.
It is, and so for Arkansans watching, a PBM is a pharmacy benefit manager.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, what that means is the middleman between the pharmacy and the manufacturer. So they're the individuals or the companies rather that negotiate the prices. And we have a case going up to the Supreme Court of the United States, so that will be argued in April based off of a law that was passed in Arkansas and put into place in 2015 regulating pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMs, as we say. Why are they challenging this? They're challenging this law in Arkansas because they believe that it should fall under ERISA, which is a employee retirement system. And unfortunately, unfortunately for them, our argument, and that we hope that the Supreme Court will agree with us, is essentially that if ERISA applies here, we will not be able to regulate PBMs at any level in the states, and that the state of Arkansas, as well as other states across the country, should be allowed to regulate PBMs. And in this instance, what does it mean not to our local pharmacies, but to all of us, to our local pharmacies? They're being reimbursed, Jay, at rates that are much smaller than what they're paying for these medicines. So you go to buy you get a prescription filled, your pharmacist has purchased it, negotiated the price with the pharmacy benefit manager for $30, and they get $5 reimbursed back from the pharmacy benefit manager from the PBM. You pay a $15 copay, that's $20 total. The independently owned pharmacy is still out $10. On average, our independent pharmacies, that's our mom and pop shops that take care of most Arkansans, they're on average losing 11% per year. So
it's not a great business model.
That is not a great business model. That is definitely something you guys would want to talk about on the business portion of the program. But, and so we have seen so many of our local independent pharmacies close over the last several years. Matter of fact, we had, I believe it was around 15% close from 2004 to 2013 or 14. That's a lot of people that are going without health care options, because most Arkansans, that's who they talk to the most. They don't get to talk to their doctor all the time.
Yeah, it's almost like their pharmacists are kind of their doctors as well.
That's right. And to have that, be able to have that face-to-face interaction, we want to not only maintain our local independently owned pharmacies, but we also want to maintain and keep the cost of healthcare lower and access to healthcare. Unfortunately, pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs, threaten all of that. And PBMs are some of the largest companies in the entire United States. They billions of dollars every single year that are made by pharmacy benefit managers. And again, these are the companies that are simply negotiating costs between your pharmacy, your healthcare providers, as well as insurance companies, et cetera. But they are not producing anything, they're not creating anything. And so we just want to make sure in Arkansas that we have the opportunity to regulate PBMs and to make sure we have access to healthcare at lower cost for all Arkansans.
Well, and you mentioned that they're kind of in essence the middleman here, and I would assume a lot of people would just like, why do we need these guys at all?
Well, and that can be argued, certainly, and for maybe a large pharmacy chain such as a Walmart or CVS. But for CVS does in fact have a CVS Caremark, which is a pharmacy benefit manager. And so CVS is not just a pharmacy, it is also a pharmacy benefit manager. And CVS pharmacies, are they receiving the same reimbursement rate as Jones Pharmacy down the street?
Right.
I don't know. We don't know. And so that's what we're simply asking, is to be able to pull the curtain back to make sure that our pharmacists are being reimbursed at a fair rate and that they are not being under reimbursed, but to also make sure that states have the ability to regulate, so that way, again, we can provide the sort of health care that is affordable and accessible to all Arkansans.
And I guess just to kind of clarify here, even those big chains, if they have their own PBMs, also kind of negotiate those rates, which are also applied to your mom and pop type of stores?
That's right, but not everyone gets the same rate that we are aware of. And I think that's, again, while we don't want to put anyone out of business, we certainly don't want to see our local independently owned pharmacists being put out of business because they are being under reimbursed by a large PBM company.
All right, there you go. So again, very complex, fascinating topic here. I'm sure we'll have you back on here once we kind of get down the road here in April. Attorney General, we appreciate you coming on.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure here. All right, when we come back, State Treasurer Dennis Milligan joins us on the show. Don't want to miss this one. This guy is something else here. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And welcome back into Capitol View. Now, this is one I've personally been waiting to work out here on Capitol View for a long time, here to discuss matters of the State Treasurer's office, the State Treasurer himself, Dennis Milligan. Boss, we finally got it worked out.
Jay, so glad to be here, and it's a great morning and great to be with you.
Absolutely here. So let's get into it here a little bit here. What's going on with the State Treasurer's office? A lot of money matters here. What do you guys have going on?
Well, probably the most recent thing that we are putting on is the Smart Women, Smart Money Conference.
Yeah.
That's February the 28th at the Embassy Suites, and that is going to prayerfully engage our Arkansas women to learn about financial education from young to the old. And so we certainly want to encourage them to register. It's free of charge.
Yeah, that's the key there.
We're serving breakfast and lunch. Oh. It's a real upbeat program. We'll have Mary Catherine Ham as the keynote speaker. Breakout sessions that will cover from investing to credit scores to how to balance a checkbook to how to invest in a business.
Now you're focusing on the women here. Why the ladies out there?
Well, so many, and I'm asked that, and that's a great question. I'm asked that a lot, and the answer is that women usually take a back seat to their families, to their potentially to their spouses. And so I just wanted to enrich and empower women to be able to take control, to be able to plan for those things that we talked about. Again, this covers from young women to retired women. Yeah. And so they all face different challenges. But the other thing that's really important is the fact that it's really a job builder. Yeah. The more competent we have financially. Remember, Jay, you've made financial decisions this morning. It's something all of us make every day, and some will say, well, my decisions are small. Remember, those small things add up.
Yeah.
So this will empower, and as I said, we're going to have a number of different promotional booths there that will talk about different things, the breakout sessions, and we'll have certainly some successful Arkansas women that are able to monitor these breakout sessions.
Now, this is actually an idea that you kind of stole from the state of Idaho, which is okay to steal from the state of Idaho, but
Jay, that's don't use steal.
Borrowed.
Stole,
we'll say borrowed.
Whatever in the actually, my good friend and he retired now Treasurer of State Ron Crane from Idaho started this 20 years ago when I was first elected as treasurer. That's one of the things I'm crazy about financial education because again, I think that is a key along with obviously education. But so we were the first state outside of Idaho to ever put this on. We put it on last year in Northwest Arkansas. And I'm so excited about all the sponsors and the people that have thrown in to help us put this on. As I said, it's completely free. And as I said, if you don't enjoy yourself, I'll give your money back.
Hey, there you go. Can't go wrong with that. What's been some of the response from that one last year?
It's been very, very favorable. And everything, you know, these will grow.
Sure.
We're planning on making this an annual event, and it will continue to grow and prosper as women go out. And as I said, we have women that are registered and registering every day from all walks of life.
Right on. And throw that graphic back up there for me, guys. Make sure we get when and where that is. So there you see it, February 28th out there at the Embassy Suites. We can't emphasize enough the free portion of this. You just got to register, all-day affair there, breakfast and lunch.
Right. Get this website. Now, you've got to bear with me.
Yeah.
www.swsmarkansas.com.
There you go.
Yeah, and the phone number in case, Jay, they need us, 501-682-1406.
There you go.
Call for more information, and please come and see us at the Arkansas Treasury.
All right, and they'll be able to see you guys over there, over at the old spot. You guys are in our building right now, kind of temporarily. What's going on over there?
Well, what's going on over there is a complete renovation of the Treasury. Be mindful, and one thing I'm extremely proud of is we're the most toured office in the state capitol. We had over 53 different countries last year,
Wow.
24,000 visitors in all 50 states. We are the only state in the union, we believe, that allows you to come into our vault and hold hundreds of thousands of dollars. That does remind me, Jay, you were in there the other day. We need to chat with you a little bit.
Yeah, we need to go through and audit some of that.
So we want to encourage, we'll be back in there in the summer. We're actually restoring that that restoration will put us back to the way it looked in 1912.
Wow.
And it'll also accommodate some of the other renovations that have gone on in the Capitol. So we're very proud of our Treasury and what Arkansas has to offer our tourists.
Now, are they going to make some changes to your office? Because I know the governor tends to get a little, bent out of shape about that, because your office is actually bigger than his.
Well, let's don't go there, Jay. There's no sense in creating any, but no, all of the main part is we're widening and making it more accommodating, because there are times we have 150 people touring through there. So and just the beauty and just the way that it will look, and they'll actually get to take a little step back in time when they get back into the office.
Because it also still looks like an operating bank.
Well, we are an operating
bank.
Yeah, we are. And again, I'm the state's banker. And so, again, we just want to encourage Arkansans to come and see us, and tell everybody to come to that Smart Women, Smart Money conference.
There you go, and you just did that, and hopefully you'll have a big crowd out there. Arkansas State Treasurer Dennis Milligan, boss, we'll have to do it again sometime.
Jay, thank you.
You betcha. And we're back to wrap it up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And that's it for today's show. We hope you enjoyed Constitutional Office Sunday. We're right back here next week with an all-new Capitol View. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.